Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. I'm delighted to have you all on this early on in the comments. It's already flying. Alistair, Ryan Kelly, Gypsy King, good to see you on this early. I'm joined by Willie. How you doing, buddy?
Very well, mate. Very well. Bit of a sore throat, like I said, when coming in. It's that season where everybody's getting bugs and that, but we're all good. The World Cup's on. There's 4 games a day to keep me going.
The fake cup, as some people like to call it as well. That World Cup, it's crazy. But some good games. I don't know. I know at the moment, obviously, the big ones, England and USA, and people obviously keep us in touch in the comments here of the score. It's still nil each. When I had it on there and turned it off, so who's hoping here for a USA result? I think we all are.
What have you enjoyed it so far, the World Cup? Have you actually got up for it? I know people have been saying like before it started, it was like, oh, I'm not even up for it or that yet. Have you started to enjoy it or that? Or?
I mean, I've enjoyed some games, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, obviously Spain, they smashed Costa Rica.
That's right.
So they did, and then you get the upset Saudi Arabia beating Argentina 2-1 and stuff. It's good for that, like, but I just still I can't get on board with the whole nature of it and the time of year it's at and messed up the season.
Strange,
obviously, what's dictated that's money. They've paid.
Aye.
Bit more or less to get this over in their country to kind of showcase what they're all about, but more and more stuff keeps coming to the fore, like the LGBTQ rights and all that type of stuff. That the one associations displaying that on their shirts and all, which again it's a shambles, to be honest. And I watch. Like, don't get me wrong, when I'm home from work and that, I watch the games and stuff. It's just a time filler. Really, I'm not really buzzing for it. Like I was happy to see Japan beat Germany 2-1. Our very own Maeda started up front, and I thought he done quite well in the game, and the striker after him. What a second goal, by the way! Just the touch and the bang that and the tap in the roof and that past Neuer. That's no easy feat. Good. I'm a wee bit interested in Japan, obviously, because of Celtic's connections. But apart from that, and you look at the Australians getting absolutely ragdolled by France. Ragdolled our Mr. Aaron Moy in the middle of the park, couldn't control the ship. It was terrible. Like, you know, like, it was shambolic. But are you enjoying it? Like, I just don't feel it. Like.
I wasn't too excited about it when it, like, on the build up to it, but now that it's on, I'm loving it. I a couple of days working from home this week and just had it on in the background when I was working away. I've enjoyed it. A couple of good games. I thought Portugal game last night was good in that as well. But I know you've got to talk about. I think Monday's podcast is going to be a bit of about the World Cup and stuff. So yeah, but no, I've enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, it's just a shame the time of the year, I think. And I think it's, to be fair to us, I think we just love talking about the Celtic. And anything comes a far second that. And we'll get stuck right into the Celtic, to be fair. I mean, it has been a while. We've done 3 rewinds or spin-offs in a row, which isn't like us, but they've been fun to do. And I think it's fair to say, Willie, that the last one, our worst Nopes 11, caused quite the stir on Twitter. Like, I was looking at the comments and it kept going. I was like, that's going to stop. You get comments coming in later on today as well, but you look back on it and I mean, we're no experts. It was just a laugh, and we interacted with people who were in the comments and stuff. And I've took a lot of heat for the Efren Juarez one, but I still stand by that because he was £4.4 million, came from a great World Cup, and he wasn't great for us, and he could play it right back, which is known by everybody now because I kind of had to point it out a million fucking times. But I stuck in there and. You know yourself. I think
that's the thing about it, mate. On the actual podcast, we said that like you can take it in different ways. It can be like a big names came to the club and it's not worked out. It could be a big transfer fee and you think it's not worked out. It could be that it was a small transfer fee, but they were just absolute shite. And it's just how people interpret it. And that's what was really interesting about it. And it was a good laugh. And there's been mega debate on Twitter. I've not seen any other Twitter page go like that ever before. So. It was a bit of fun. A few more spin-offs coming up, which I think will create a bit more debate as well. So, it's been good. It's been good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was mental to see all the retweets and all. I was reading some of the quote tweets. It was like Efren Juarez in this 11. Have you ever watched football, mate? All that type of stuff. I find that hilarious. I'll argue with anybody about my selections, like, and I think you even said it. You notice a trend. I was going for the high value signings that didn't really meet up to the expectations. And that's what I was kind of aiming for. Obviously, Anthony brought in a couple of amazing shouts. We all kind of formed a team at the end. It was a great laugh. I mean, everyone got involved, and the comments are buzzing, and as we said, their social media is still buzzing. But we'll crack into the Celtic stuff, and we had our very own World Cup trip down under to Ads' homecoming in the middle of all this chaos and between Qatar and Celtic players going international duty. We managed to fit in a trip to Sydney for Ange Postecoglou's homecoming. I mean, let's be fair here. Like, apart from the scale of the audience and the scale of the support over there, it was a bit of a dampener, to be fair. Like, we did obviously go over and get the results that we thought we probably would have got. But again, it's kind of increasing the exposure of Celtic, which we'll come on to later in the podcast. But we'll start with the first game, and that was Sydney when we got beat 2-1. I mean, I said in the group chat, I think we all watched it, didn't we? I think most of us watched it.
Pretty much,
and I said in the group chat they were a cracking team. They gave everything to that game, and they were playing that like a full-on league game, whatever they would have played in the A-League. And I thought the second goal for them, Burgess, was top quality, the way he does fizz the past Segrist. And yeah, it was just, I mean, the game itself, it was great to see the stands basically full and the support and the adulation Postecoglou gets. And you see before these games, Willie, all the snippets from the Paramount television over there of him at his team talks with Australia, team talks with Brisbane Roar, and going off his rocker in that meeting room, and he smashes the TV screen, and you kind of get to know more about the man who manages your football club. And I thought for that, it was brilliant. And I mean, I want to talk about the lineup here. We're in with Segrist, Burnaby, Starfelt, Welsh, Ralston, Abelgard, Ideguchi, Forrest, Turnbull, Kyogo, and Lee Labada, who started that game. And we'll talk about some of these fringe players, but I find it interesting. Obviously, revelations coming into the transfer kind of market at the moment, which we'll come on to. It's quite interesting to see where some of the future lies of these certain players. But what did you think of the game overall before we go into individual performance against Sydney?
It's as much like you said, mate, just very disappointing. We went over there, and you said the fans turned out in droves.
Yeah.
It was great to see that. And another thing, I don't know if you like to follow all the social media, but the whole squad was just out and about. That would be all right, yeah. The whole squad was out and about, mingling with all the fans in the streets and stuff like that as well. I just thought that was a lovely touch. But the football was more than disappointing. It was as if the boys were actually thinking they're actually on their holidays. I think Ange said as much himself at the end of it after the first game. I've not seen any interview after the Everton game yet, but after the Sydney game, you could tell he was not happy at all. I mean, it is a glorified friendly, and I think the boys kind of treated it like that. I don't think there was much impotence or no urgency, and I think we made. I think they're a decent side. I wouldn't go as far as saying they were very good, or I think we made them look a bit better than they were. But it was a cracking finish for their second goal. And by the way, they could have had 3 or 4 in that first half against us. Yeah. We didn't look great at the back. And touching on the fringe players, I know you were. I was really excited because I've been screaming for. We keep talking about when Carmack got injured. We've seen when Carmack got injured about needing another number 6, and I know at the time obviously Aurelia hadn't shone in that position where she has done now. But we were all screaming about where's Abelgard, there's Ideguchi. So I was really excited to see they two, and I think the two of them are probably the two most disappointing in the whole team that first half. So it was a shame. But I mean, that's probably the reason why the Gaffer's not had them in the team up until now.
Well, I mean, if you're going over to the Gaffer's homecoming and you put in performances like that, it's not going to bode well for the rest of your time at Celtic, to be fair. And I just want to address one thing here. Monty, you big fruitcake. Yes, my Christmas tree is behind me. I'll take it over to where you live and shove it up your arse.
He's not got over that at all, is he?
He had no. It's a Christmas tree. It's Christmas. It's time to be happy. We're top of the tree. We're loving Celtic's top of the league. I mean,
big Scrooge, man.
Big Scrooge, 100%, Monty. Come on, get with the spirit here. I mean, we're all happy. We're all cheery. But in regards to what you said there about the fringe players, and Ideguchi for me was non-existent. Non-existent.
I don't know what you thought. Like seeing the pre-season when we seen him a couple of games pre-season, and I thought, because I think he played in the number 8 in pre-season, and he actually looked tasty. But I don't know what you thought. What did you think about him? But he was fucking horrendous, wasn't he?
Oh man, see, I know he got moved up one for Abelgard to play the deep lamb role, but like likes of O'Reilly or Calmac would do for us, but it didn't work at all. And one thing that was noticeable was Sydney just ran over the midfield. There was no control, there was no cohesion in terms of spirit or like that type of stuff. Turnbull for me played well. Thought Turnbull had an alright game. Thought he was liking the play, had a couple of shots from outside the box and things like that, trying to get things going. But Inaguchi's a strange one, and if you go way back to when we first signed him, he was one of the ones that had the biggest hype of what he could do. I remember Dan Orlowitz was telling us before when we had him on, in regards to obviously Hatate and Kyogo and Dyson as well, but he was the most experienced in them. He's already played abroad, didn't work out, but he's come back stronger and better. And it just looks like Willie from the outside, he's not really bedding in. And what's the best option here?
Jenky's not got like, because he doesn't seem like he's taken to the club like the other guys have. Do you think it's the culture? Do you think he's moving across the world? And it's like I said, a different culture. Do you think he's just no right mentally? And that's
if you play like the numbers game. If you sign 4 players from the same league in one window, there's going to be one of them players who might not live up to expectations. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it looks like Ideguchi's going to be that type of player. And I was disappointed because when we seen him come into the team before he got injured against Alloa, he looked all right. He could play the ball. He was good at long balls. He could take the ball in tight spaces. What we expect of an Ange Postecoglou team. But he just hasn't worked. And he moved up when he looked out of his depth. He wasn't quick enough. He wasn't strong enough in the tackle. The amount of times he tried to play a pass and pass it to one of their players. And Alistair come in there saying the overreaction. We're not overreacting. We're just merely going off the performance and the French players, to be fair, Alistair, to see what maybe is the future for these guys. And you mentioned Abelgard. Is it a case that we take him on loan for a favour? Because at the moment, he just isn't great. And he came on that European game and he looked all right. He did. When he had to come on like out of the cold, he was breaking up the play, and then he came in for fits and starts again, but just hasn't impressed. What's your opinion on him as well so far?
I don't know, man. It's difficult because it's really hard to. It's really difficult to try and show what you can do, and because he's only getting like 5-10 minutes a game when he's coming on, and especially in his position, I think it's especially tough to show what you can do. If you're a striker and you get 10 minutes and you score a goal, you're the best thing since sliced bread. He's meant to play the easy pass and win the ball back. He looks very tall and athletic, but I mean, it's really difficult to judge him on, like I say, only seeing 10 minutes a game. But I mean, the gaffer said before they went away that we're going to see the best of him in the second half of the season. So,
I hope so.
I know, because I've not seen much yet. So, but yeah, I was really disappointed in the whole the whole performance by everybody. Not just they too, but I think it's maybe because I was excited about, because everybody else that we've seen has pretty much been part of the rotation this year. Like say Bernabé's, he's had a fair bit of game time. We know what Alston can do. We know what Welsh can come in and do a job. Like say Turnbull is very good and can get in and rotate around the rotating. What's this? That's interesting.
That's a great point to be fair.
Aye.
Yeah.
And all the other guys have all been part of the rotation, and these two were the two that have not really been able to show what they can do this season. They've not been part of the rotation. Ideguchi's, I'd be surprised if he's had even half an hour of minutes this whole season.
Yeah.
And like I say, Abelgard gets the last 5-10 minutes of a game. So I think maybe that's why these two stood out, because I was wanting to see what they could do, and sadly they didn't deliver in that game anyway.
No, they definitely didn't. And McGrath is in the comments here. Hi boys, it was terrible. We need tall players for cross balls. We're coming in and it was wee buns to the opposition. They were crap. Very straight to the point. I can also say as well, it's McGrath's birthday this weekend, so many happy birthdays.
Oh,
I'm coming down to see it.
Happy birthday!
He's only coming 21. Incredible.
Is it?
Just rewinds. You get it? Endless Celts rewinds. But I was much in agreement there of what Patrick said in terms of get them off the wage bill. You look at Abelgard, you look at McCarthy and Ideguchi. In reality, what did it really do? Apart from coming on maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And you look at that and you're like, you're probably paying about 25 grand a week for McCarthy alone. for a 4-year contract for absolute nothing. Yeah, Abelgard's unknown. Can you terminate that deal early? And maybe are we being harsh on these players? And I know it was a glamorized friendly, but Willie, I mean, you're coming in and you should be a bit like G'd up that the managers give you the first game of his homecoming.
Yep.
Do you mean to kind of put that impression of what he does for Celtic, and then you see that? Do you know what I mean?
Aye, not just that. Yeah, like I said, they've had very limited minutes. You think they would want to show what they're made of, and they just didn't perform, unfortunately. But I know what you're saying about maybe bringing somebody else in. I totally forgot about McCarthy. Did he even go over to Sydney? Did he even play any minutes? I totally forgot. Honestly, and I know he had
he was injured. He's injured.
Is he again? Shock. Yeah, I think I think we've got a proper nucleus, like a proper good spine and nucleus of our squad at the moment. I think the manager said it in the interviews as well. I think they just need to trim a few. And I think it's more about, I mean, his first season was yes, it was obviously quality we needed, but it was more about quantity and just getting bodies in. Whereas now we've got a fantastic squad. It's just about trimming and bringing top quality now. And obviously they're making moves already.
I see a lot of comments, well, a few to be fair, said about Victor Wanyama coming in, maybe being that kind of linchpin. I wouldn't want him back, to be fair. Again, it's another case of he's in his 31 now, he'd be. So effectively for me, he's past his best. I get the whole obviously sentimentality type things. He was a great player in the past, but
but that was the same with McCarthy. It's the exact same with McCarthy.
But he wasn't a great player with us. He was a great player before.
But he was a top player. But he was always linked with us, and he was obviously a big Celtic fan. So it seems like a whole sentimental thing. I totally agree with what you're saying with Wanyama. I think it's the same with McCarthy. It was more a signing with the heart rather than the head. And I think
definitely wasn't an unsigning.
Wanyama's no. I think Hart and McCarthy pretty much signed the same week as the gaffer. So I don't think they were his, but I'm on his bang on. Wanyama's time has been, and I don't think I'd be going back.
Tell you who I'd be getting, Cammy Devlin, no problem.
He can't even get in that shite England, that shite Australia team you're talking about, the Bhoys. And
listen, on the bench, I said them in the embarrassment of being like boy, being on that game, like it was a shambles. But let's touch upon a few players that I think impressed in that game. I thought Burnaby, and another one for me, Willie, I thought he was played well. I know he hit the shot and it deflected off Kyogo, but let's give him the assist at least. Kyogo was so quick to celebrate that goal, like he just smashed it in from 30 yards. It was like, it took Burnaby a wee second to realise. He was like, but I thought Burnaby for me has come on the game, and I can really see him and Taylor having a crack here for number one. And again, I know that we all know Greg Taylor's the established guy, and he will be for the foreseeable months, but it's good to have a player like him behind him, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I think Taylor suffered in the last couple of seasons because there was nobody to come in, and he was playing every minute, every game. Burnaby's, he looks tasty. Young guy, obviously still learning his trade. I think he's great going forward. He's very good technically. I think he's definitely ideal for the inverted wing back that Ange likes to play. And ideal. It looks really, really good going forward. He's got a wonder left foot. I know I mind reading that before he came in about how he's got good cross and the rest of it. He obviously needs to do a bit of work coming back the way, I think, defending. But you'll learn that in time. He's still a young boy and he's obviously the understudy. So yeah, really, really positive with Burnaby. I've liked a lot of what I've seen on this season.
Well, I mean, to be fair, after the stuff that happened earlier in the season, with a whole driving thing and all that stuff in Glasgow, and he was fighting with doormen to get into clubs, he's kind of settled again. He's had his blip, and it looks like he's settling back into the team and becoming an actual, as you said, rotation part of the team. The likes of, we haven't seen Edeguchi or anyone like that perform. At least he's getting in that way, and he's starting a few games, and he looks like he's showing something different. And then, if we look at Siegrist as well, I thought he done quite well. There was a shot by, I think it was Mac, their striker, just flashed across him.
Yep.
bang, he saved it. It was going in the top bag, saved a couple low down as well. It's good to see that. And if we ever need to give Joe Hart a rest, I mean, to be fair, Seagrass is probably able to. Like,
yeah, like I mean, he was always a decent keeper at Dundee United. I was pleased when we got him in. I know there was a lot of clamour, and a lot of debate between all of us and in the comments a month or so back that he should have the number 1 jersey, and obviously a lot of people are liking what they see. So that was one thing I would say about this trip. We got to see some of the fringe players, like you say, and he's definitely not done any harm to his chances about trying to break into that first team anyway. But I still think the number 1 jersey is Joe Hart's. But again, just like Bernabei, I wouldn't have any qualms about him coming in, especially in the league. Whenever we are rotating, I think in the past, if somebody was missing a certain first 11 I should say, because I think it is a squad game now, especially with the amount of games we've got, and because the World Cup's been fired right in the middle of our season, it's even more games clustered together. So we're going to need all these guys. And like, I mean, last month he showed it. He must have used 25 players in the month.
Oh, he used them all.
In 6 games or something. So yeah, he's another one. If Hart ever went down with an injury, I would be very disappointed. Obviously, I think he's our number 1 and still a fantastic keeper, but you wouldn't be disappointed with Seagrass coming in.
Nah, I think to be fair, he probably could be number 1 in the future. All depends, obviously, what happens with Joe Hart. But let's talk about players who can maybe challenge for the starting 11. So you said squad game, but starting more often than that. Do you think Turnbull's in with a shout again? Because I think he's been looking really good since he's got back. I think.
Yeah. I like Turnbull. I think he was excellent for us. I think in Lennon's last season he was the only shining light for me, or one of a couple. I mean, him and Sorrow came in and got a run in the side, and Turnbull was excellent. And I know there's been a lot of amongst the fan base this season about trying to punt him and get decent money for him. I think when everybody's fit, I don't think he's getting in that first 11. I think O'Reilly, Calmack, and Hatate are. I think they're immovable. I think they're the 3. But yeah, I really rate Turnbull. Hopefully we get to see a lot more of him. I think I said that in a recent podcast when he came back for his injury. I was like hoping we get to see more of him now and after Christmas, because like you said as well earlier about him taking a few shots. I think Celtic are quite naive that way sometimes, and trying to work the ball too much and get the ball and like walk the ball in. Whereas I think we should be taking a pot shot. I quite like that with Ryan Christie in the past as well. That he, obviously it wasn't not all were on target. Some of them were in the North Sea, but
some of them are still travelling.
But I like Turnbull for that, and he's always good for a goal. So it's great to see him. What do you think of Turnbull? Do you think he can break in?
I think Turnbull, for me, he is a luxury player. I think he could do a job with the starting 11, but as you said, once Calmack comes back, that midfield's nailed for me every game, and obviously players coming on during that game. I think he's been really good in this kind of Sydney trip because he's come back to full fitness again. He's getting back into the way of the team, and I thought he played well in both games, both against Everton and against Sydney, and he was probably one of the bright sparks. And it's just quite interesting to see the whole Turnbull debate switching from he's a squad player to a starting 11 player, because sometimes he's absolutely excellent. Other games he's dross. If we're honest, he doesn't do much.
See, when you said luxury player, because I think that, but I'm not sure it's the
That's
same
interesting.
meaning.
That's interesting.
Aye, he does. But like you said, he doesn't work as hard as any of the A3. He's not got the fitness of the A3. He's not got the tenacity of the A3. But he's definitely got a go on him. It's probably a wee bit like, and I'm like, he's not. I don't think a wee bit like Rogic about 8 years ago, and not in the fact that he's not as talented or whatever, and he's not got the same qualities, but the fact that maybe he gets 60 minutes out of him and then he's not as effective. I don't know. What do you think?
To be fair, I'm of the opinion if we get a bid for him, it's matchable for the board to be away. Like, he's not a player I'm afraid to lose. I just respect his ability. I think he's a good player and he does a job for us, but he's not one of the players like you said Rosic. I mean, different scales there, to be fair. Like, but I know what you're saying. The whole debate around him and could he last 60, 70 minutes, and that quickly changed. And then Turnbull probably around the same thing now because of his fitness issues. But I wouldn't be too bothered if he left. But if he stayed, another decent squad player, and Monty comes in, Turnbull brings the composure to the midfield. I totally agree with that. I think he's really composed on the ball. I know McGranda, he hates him doing that spinny thing.
I was going to say that to you because you're always going on about my slowing down the play. Do you not think Turnbull does that?
Jesus,
with that, we turn back. No, I like him. But what you're saying is, but you always talk about my slowing down the play. That spinny move that you say your Granda hates, he does that all the time, and that you can't tell me that turning back doesn't slow down the play. I think he's a great player, and I love it. He's always great for a goal. I think he's a fantastic player, and I'll play him. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm just asking the question.
I mean, to be fair, like Kenny's asking what you're drinking. I'm starting to wonder here. I mean,
no, because I'm actually drinking. The old Rossini for Aldi is fucking brilliant, man.
I think as well, with Turnbull doing that spinny move, I don't even know what it's called. We call it the 360. He's probably a 0.5 second quicker than Moy anyway, turning, so he's not slowing the game down as much as Moy.
Ali Ferguson used to do that fucking move, and everybody hated him for it. That wee kind of drop of the shoulder and move back the way.
Well, thankfully, I'm not going to be talking about him. No chance. But David Turnbull, like, I would put him in the team well before Moy, and there's no question for me that. And that's another thing. The whole Moy debate, it needs to be canned. He needs to be gone. I'll say it again. Just let him go. Let him stay in Australia or something. Give him to Sydney. Whatever. Swap a few players around. Do a deal.
He's another one for me. He's not. He's never going to be their first 11 player, but I think he's a decent player to come on for half an hour to kind of do the easy stuff and win the ball and play the wee 5-yard passes. I think that's all he is for me. But he's never. I know he's been playing number 10 recently, and I've always thought he's a number 6. Like I said, coming on for the last half hour of games and just kind of playing the easy pass and doing that. That's all he is for me. He's never going to break into the first 11. And I don't think he was
Boy.
Aye.
Yeah. I really don't know what the Australian manager is smoking like. See, watching him in that game, it was horrendous. He got toyed about with against France, and
I know that's what's his face was. Who's the boy that used to commentate in the Robot Wars and all that does the commentary? Can't remind his name.
Jonathan Ross.
Aye. No, yeah. Jonathan Ross is
Jonathan
something.
No, Jonathan. It's Jonathan something.
He was commentating, and the whole first half he was absolutely waxing lyrical about. He was actually waxing lyrical about Moy that first half, especially the first 20 minutes. He was like, "Oh, he's controlling the game," and I could think it was you. I was pissing myself laughing. Well, he was like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "Oh, hope Steve is watching this, man."
People doesn't know Moy. Just makes me angry. I don't know why. It's a trigger word for me. I already can't wait till he leaves. There's no disrespect. This thing was just one of them signings. It was, as you said, filling the gap that Beaton left probably. And to be fair, I'd rather take Beaton back than Moy. But again, that's another argument for every day of the week. But we'll move on, Willie. A 2-1 defeat against Sydney. We go into the 3:45 a.m. kickoff. By the way, what a struggle this was. What a struggle. I got up for it, man. I got up. Do you know what happened? So I had a tablet. I was sitting, earphones on. She turns around to me, half asleep, going, "What are you doing?" I'm sitting 4:45 in the morning watching the Celtic play Everton.
I was out on the Saturday at a speakers dinner with Ross and Tony and a couple of my mates, Tam, Pizzi and Jimmy. That always.
Jesus, there's Tom Bronkhorst.
So
have the old bullet.
He's got time in his hands now. And we were out at like lunchtime, and I was like, "Yes, that's it, Jonathan Pearce." And I was like, "Yes, out with the boys all day." And my mate Tam's got a wee like hut in his garden where they. I was like, "Yes, just drink all day, and we'll just go back to yours at like 4 and watch the game." I was in my bed for about 10:30, steaming, so I didn't even see it.
Did you catch anything of it though?
I seen some of the highlights. I seen the sitters anyway.
Well, to be fair, in relation to that, probably the most notable thing, Jota hitting the bar with a cracking free kick. Abada and Kyogo doing the usual, missing from 6 yards out. Damari Gray absolutely roasting our defence every opportunity he got. He could have scored about 5 by himself. Who
He's a
else?
player,
Turnbull
by
had
the
a
way.
few. He is. I remember saying to you, we should sign him because he was available for £2 million when he joined Everton, and I was like, we need to get on him.
Leicester.
He is a cracking player, and I mean, there's a bit of a shit. I mean, only won the penalties, and what we also knew, Giakoumakis never, ever taken a penalty kick ever again in his life. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Oh,
they missed one in the shout.
Mate, he missed it, and he didn't just miss it; he skied it.
So let me get this. So he's taken 3 penalties for us since he's joined and missed every one of them.
Missed every one of them. Yeah. That's mental.
I think. Aye.
Either John or Juranovic. Well, fuck, not Juranovic, maybe no more, but we'll come on to that. But this is, I know you didn't catch much of the game, so there's no point really going over it. The most notable things were it was a draw. There was 41,000 people in attendance. There was no line about attendance records like people's kind of in Qatar, like the add on 10,000 people to capacity, strangely. But yeah, good turnout, good crowd, good bit of atmosphere. Whoever the commentator was when I was watching kept going to the sideline to a fellow called Tiernan. Like, no way you go to the sideline commentator. And he was proper Irish, mate, like Dublin accent. he was going off his head like he was watching Celtic. He was like, "This is unbelievable." Celtic in Australia, though, it was cracking.
But that's what it was all about, wasn't it? The trip. It was just for the guys over there that all the Glaswegians and all everybody that have all emigrated over there and they never got a chance to see their team. That's what it was all about. But I seen the highlights. For what I did see, it just looked like a standard Champions League game. Plenty of chances, couldn't put any away, and then we end up coming away with nothing.
Why is it though? It's starting to annoy me. Why is Kyogo and Abada missing these chances? It has to stop. It has to stop.
I've always said to you, I don't think I love Kyogo. I think he's an absolute top player, but I don't think he's a great finisher. I know he scored a lot of goals last year, but it does take him 2, 3, 4 chances before he's scoring. He obviously, like, I can't wax lyrical enough about him. That the cup final when he beat Hibs himself and he was only half fit and all this. And I'm not getting on at him. He's a top player, and I'm fucking more than happy to see him playing up front for us. But it seems the last 3-4 months it's just not been happening. Whether it's a bit of luck he needs or I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's not nice to see.
No.
It's
not even.
That's a good shout, by the way. Maybe I was trying too hard.
I think Hugo missed one against Sydney as well, from what I can remember. Kind of one-on-one with the keeper.
Aye.
Get their keeper as well. I can't keep continuing because we don't want the same story next year when we're playing in the top-level competition again, Willie. Do you know what I mean? It's a trend that's happening all the time now. And it seems to be any clubs outside the SPFL, they're missing the chances against it. And I've seen funny comments like, if the goalkeeper had a Motherwell jersey on, they would have scored it. And that's probably true. It seems to be a mental block. I don't know why it's happening. Abada, can finish it with 6 yards out. Kyogo was 6 yards out. And all you need is to make proper contact. And it's a friendly, so the pressure should be off. How do you sort that out?
I have no idea, mate. I'm still trying to get my head around the whole Champions League campaign. I mean, that was our worst points total ever, I think, in our history in the Champions League. That was. Oh, you think so? I disagree with that.
What was that? Sorry.
About Kyogo not going. I watched him, and it was a brilliant result Japan got, right? But I watched the first hour. They were getting overrun in the midfield.
Atate. It was
perfect for Atate. You cannot tell me that. Nobody on God's green earth can tell me he wouldn't make a difference in that midfield after what. It's one game I've seen, right? But he's been. I would argue he's been our best player this year, and there's no way he. I honestly don't know how he's not getting in that team. Secondly, Maeda started up top. I think he showed in that game. I'm bashing players. It's not like me, isn't it? But for me, Maeda's not a striker, and I think it showed in that game that the goal he scored that was offside. He should never be offside there. He's looking down the line. He can see the defender's number in front of him, and he's quick, so he doesn't need to get there beforehand. And he should be seeing when that ball's coming in. There's no way. Sunday League strikers shouldn't be offside there. Never mind Maeda. that showed to me he's not a striker. He's a winger all day. So I was surprised that when I was watching that Kyogo wasn't in the squad, because I think he would make a difference. And it's a shame, because I was watching Japan the other day, and like you say, you've got a bit of an interest, but it's kind of only Maeda there. And if Hatate and Kyogo were there, I'd bought a shirt, got the name in the back, watched every game, bought a flag, everything. But
I think, see, to be fair to that Maeda one, if you switch that round to, if he was coming, the players on the left with us, right? So effectively, Japan were on the counter in that situation.
Yep.
Their player had on the right hand side. If he was coming from the left and doing his diagonal run as he usually does, he probably would have been onside. He just had too much time to think about what position to be in, I think, and a bit of rush of blood to the head. He's went for it, and then he knows fine well he's totally messed it up once the ball hits the back of the net.
So quick, he doesn't need to go that early, though.
It's incredible.
Aye. That's why I was surprised Kyogo's not in the team.
Yeah, I think Hatate stubs his horse. He would have given them directness they need 100%. I thought they were crying out for that in the first half, especially like you said.
They were getting bossed in the midfield, and somebody like him just to get a foot in, and his tenacity, like I said earlier, and just get his foot on the ball and spray these passes that he's been, because they've got really good wide men as well. Just get him to win the ball and get the ball to the wide men. I think he would offer them a lot. But like I say, it's only one game I've seen for them, and they beat Germany. So what the fuck do I know?
And we couldn't beat Shakhtar. Well, but right, this is what I wanted to ask you about this Everton thing. The game again was a glorified friendly, right? Fair enough. Beating penalty kicks, the homecoming, bit shit. Let's be honest. But does this point to the fact that Celtic need to explore different opportunities out with the SPFL? Because you look at Qatar, they've managed to money, get the World Cup over to their country. Otherwise, we'd be nowhere near it. You look at the whole whispers around the Champions League, obviously being different again in 2 years' time. The format's going to be changed to the league. Then you look at the World Cup again, which is changing to expand more teams in it, which is obviously good for other nations. But I think there's going to come to a point, and Grant, if you're still in the comments, I'd like to hear your opinion on this, and everyone get involved in it too. He's a big advocate of it. I watched this against Everton and was thinking, Matt already said before, this is the opposition that we want to play every week, week in, week out, the kind of top level, kind of higher end players and so forth. If we are going to compete in future years to come, if we're going to attract players, if we're going to keep players that we always want to do, there has to be a way in 20, 30 years that we explore a different opportunity.
I mean, this has been rambling on for 20, 30 years previous as well. There's always been talks, European leagues and us moving to England and all the rest of it. Personally, I'm not a fan. But I mean, you know me, I'm a patriotic man. We're Scottish, and I think we should be in the Scottish League. I mean, it's not so much us. It's the. I mean, you talked about it yourself. It's the opposition.
Yeah,
I think maybe the other teams in the Scottish League. I know there's not much money, but these guys need to step up their game if that's the case. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Us moving away to any other leagues, and to be honest, I'm not a fan yet. I think, in my time on earth, I've seen some fabulous players at Celtic, and I think we'll see plenty more fabulous players. So I'm not too disappointed on that front. But it's all I don't see that changing, and definitely not in my lifetime anyway. I don't see anything like that changing. Is it something you would be?
Well, I mean, to be fair, like as you said, right? You look at the Scottish League, and I think Aberdeen, they spent £1.2 million. Dundee United 900,000. I think St Mirren about 300, 400,000. So the disparity of money there's evident to see in different transfer windows. And the best case scenario for me would be if eventually some guy or a consortium coming in and literally ban the whole league. If firstly what happened in the Premier League and getting all these TV deals and stuff like that. So that's the only way infrastructure is going to improve. Stadiums, grass pitches, no plastic pitches, all that type of stuff. Because whether you like it or not, and I've stuck up for the SPL more times than that. Let's be fair in this podcast all the time. I always stick up for them. But you go to the likes of a Hamilton Ackies and you can see Sainsbury's in the background. Do you know what I mean? You go to Kilmarnock, you're playing on the glorified free G pitch that youngsters play on week in, week out. And I know it's great for community, but for the professional game, it's really not. You go to the likes of St Johnson, who can't even fill the stand. You go to Livingston, without the top two teams in it, it looks empty most times they're playing when it's on TV, because they only really fill the main stand behind where Martindale stands from the dugout. So when you look at it from that point of view, there's no scope for me for improvement. And you look at the teams. You look at Motherwell getting beat by Sligo Rovers, embarrassing. Hearts, to be fair, got the only wins from a Scottish club in Europe this season. So I mean, that really paints it all for me. But it just really annoys me that they're, and I know, like Dave Cormack, and I know Oregon and Dundee United, they're trying to put money in, but they want to really be there to make money. You're not going to make money off these clubs. You're going to have to pump money in, bring better players in, recoup transfer fees, improve stadiums, improve infrastructure. Aberdeen's kind of done that with Cormack Training Park and stuff like that, but you need to repeat that and recycle that for the whole league, and it's just not happening. And sorry, but I know you look at Everton, right? We were playing Everton there, and I was watching the players, and although, to be fair, there's a bit of a damn squid in terms of result, but there was a bit of verve, there was a bit of imagination, there was free kicks, Jota hitting the post. They seemed to have a wee bit of a spring in their step. End to end, as I said, to Murray Gray, having a few chances for them. But I just think for ambition needs to be grew within that league, and it's just for me not happening.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were talking about the sort of players we're bringing in and stuff like that, and I was going to say it's the same in every league. There's a jump between the Man Cities and all that. They're spending hundreds of millions on players, and the teams in the lower end of the league are, like, they're obviously spending far more than what we would spend, but the gap between the two teams is still massive. But I know what you mean about. I mean, there's ploughing money into the league, right? The whole fan situation, right? See if I supported St Johnstone and I had the time, it didn't matter if we were getting relegated every other year. Me as a fan, and if I could afford it, and work meant I could go to every game, I would be at every game every single week. Doesn't matter how bad the team is. So when you're talking about ploughing money into this, that, and the next thing, it shouldn't take that for your fans to come to your game. In my opinion, like they should be filling the stadium anyway. Everton aren't doing very well in the league. This is the team we're talking about. I always hear players in the Premier League saying it's one of the most daunting places to go because their fan base is excellent. So I'm not so sure ploughing money into the league would sort that out. Would that mean Livingston would sell out their stadium? I'm not so sure. Livingston are doing fairly well this year. St Johnstone won 2 trophies a couple of years ago and still couldn't fill their stadium. You know what I mean? So it's not so much about. I don't know how you would sort that though. I have no idea how you would sort that.
I look at it, right? I look at it, and probably from a cynical point of view, I would be like, if I was a chairman of one of them clubs, I'd be like, we've got a 18,000 seater stadium here. We can't fill it. What's the solution to that? Right. So you get your allocation season tickets, come up the league games. You come up with initiations, Willie. £5 a ticket. Get in, fill the stadium. Money for the club. If that fails, then you look at Dean's job.
Because somebody's paid for a season ticket and then they're not getting their money's worth because you're firing it out for £5 now.
Yeah, it's a situation where you're either up or you're down and you're in the middle. You can't really win with it because you're going to have to give way somewhere in that argument. Or you look at it as well, is it deconstructing the stadiums? Is it bringing some of it down and rebuilding? Like look at St Mirren, they moved from obviously Paisley to their new stadium and it looks quite well on the TV. A wee 8,000 seater stadium, they fill it out probably majority of the weeks and looks quite decent sized pitch. I mean, could other teams not follow suit in that aspect and kind of de-size? And that's not really a bad thing, but I'm sure the issues with kind of keeping that up and running, maintaining it, cleaning it, getting it passed by different security checks, the SFA, there has to be a compromise somewhere. And as Merle Watt said there, it's not a good advertisement for us, and we're always wanting the best for our league, the best for our club, and Matt O'Reilly said it in a friendly way. These are the teams we want to be playing against. That's a bad indictment for me to the standard we're playing. Like,
I know, mate. But I mean, like I said, maybe it's just football. Maybe it's just modern football. I mean, it's not like it was when I was younger. Like, I think when I was younger, the stadiums were being set out because it was proper football, and now it's the modern day. These guys are getting paid fucking hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, and they're diving and fucking VAR and all that. And it's maybe just people just aren't into it anymore. But like I said,
That's a great shout.
aye, that's a great shout. Aye, 100%. But like I said, I couldn't care less how bad a state my club was in. Like for me, anyway, my football club, it was my first love. It'll always be my first love. Still, probably my biggest main love. My wedding vows. My wedding vows was you'll always come second to Celtic and all the rest of it. So it doesn't matter. Like I'm just an absolute avid nut, and didn't matter when, where, or if it was possible, I'd be there. And it just seems to be not the case. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and it needs to come for your fans.
Yeah, 100%, man. That kind of drives the team, doesn't it? I mean, how disheartening would it be if you're McDermott Park in your home side? It must be. It must be.
Imagine coming in a fucking Tuesday night, it's freezing cold, and there's fucking 20 people watching.
Oh, Jesus. You'd be like, I'm away, mate. See you later. Sub me off. But I do get what you're saying. The fans drive it. And sometimes, I mean, what comes into my mind was the famous Steve Clark speech at Rugby Park saying bye-bye Celtic and all that to the stands. And it's back to the way it was because that didn't stay for long. Do you know what I mean? So, like, you have to maintain a consistency level here. And there's different ways to improve the league. We're just giving our opinions on it. But
that's what annoys me, though. You support your team at your best. You need to fucking support them at their worst.
Yeah.
Can't you just go when they're successful? This Stubbs the horse. I did. I swear to God, I did. Celtic were my first love.
He loves it.
Celtic my first love. We had to write a fucking poem. And what was that? I said something about I love you almost as much as the day when Encham scored at Lazio away. It's on the wedding speech and all that. I swear to God, she knows it. And then comes second to Celtic.
What a way. That's actually class. What was it? I love you as much as the day then Encham scored at Lazio away.
Almost as much. Not quite as much. Mate.
That's the way it should be, buddy. Always. Celtic number one. But look, we'll move on. Obviously, the squad now is in a break. But again, as we know, Postecoglou never stops. Literally, that man eats, sleeps, and breathes football.
Yeah.
And what we know, we've brought Yuki Kobayashi in as a centre back on a 5-year deal as a free agent from Vissel Kobe. By the looks of it, left-sided centre back can play the ball out. Left-footed, diagonals. He looks great at it. Recovery pace. I think he's in the top 3 for aerial duels 1 in the J League, and also tackles 1 on the ground, which is quite impressive. But looking at that, Willie, before we move on to the other transfer speculation, Welsh and Jens. I've seen a lot of people. We'll start with Jens here, saying that maybe spells the end for Jens on a permanent deal.
Really?
Now, I don't know where that's coming from, because I still think Jens and Carter Vickers are decent together. I really do think that. I would personally probably start them at the minute. Starfeld's still coming back from injury and that, but Jens and Carter Vickers for me would be first choice at the moment. And I've seen a few people saying maybe this and saying no to Jens, and I just don't see it. What do you think about
that? I wouldn't get rid of Jens. I think he's been a fantastic acquisition for us. And he's still young as well. He's still early 20s, isn't he? 24, 25. Cheers, mate. Yeah. And again, he's another one that's it's progression, and he's only going to get better. I like Starfelt. I was one of his biggest critics his first couple of months in the door. But I think Jens is going to. I think he's going to be a player. I've really liked what I've seen from him this year. Has he made mistakes? Of course he has.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I mean, that position, your mistakes are going to get called out more than most. But I think he's been excellent this year, and I think we always talk about Andrew's style as a centre half. I think he's very well suited to that. He's great with the ball at his feet, very technical. Drives. I think he actually drives out of defence better than TCV with the ball at his feet.
Yeah, so do I.
I would do everything we could to get him to stay. To be honest with you, but I mean, the new boy's coming in. He's another young boy. I mean, the team across the city haven't even got a manager at the moment, and we're signing players outside the window ready to start in the first. Because I'm right in saying he's joining up with the squad shortly, and he'll be ready to go on the first. So he's going to be here. So it's going to be like a wee bit of a pre-season training for him, a few weeks with the boys. Brilliant. What, like us as fans at Celtic as well. I think the whole biscuit tin mentality thing has got to be kind of thrown out the window here, because it did seem, especially January window, we used to be like wait till the deadline day and see what we can get, see who's on offer, and just kind of pick off the bones. And it's more often than not, it's not worked out. Not with Ange.
Totally
Ange's proactive, not reactive, and it's unbelievable to see. I
think as well, you have to kind of give credit to Nicholson and Mark Lowell, who are doing obviously the transfer negotiations behind the scenes, because the Ange Postecoglou have that leverage over them. That's fantastic. He wants the business on early, and if I think they kind of lapsed on that, he would go through them for a shortcut. So the fact we got Kobayashi in as a confirmed signing, and by the way, have you seen his Twitter post saying the welcome to Celtic's insane? He keeps getting welcome. It's incredible. He already knows that he's in for a big time now, coming from Faisal Kobe. But you look at that.
Brilliant, man.
Sorry, my cough is coming into me here.
I know you like Big Ange.
Oh, the Ange cough, the Stevie cough tonight.
See what you said there, mate. See before you go on, because I'll forget. You're bang on. We've always said that. Listen, when the shit hits the fan, everybody's always having a go at the board. You've got to praise them when they're backing the gaffer. It's obviously everything the gaffer wants. They're seeing to his needs. So you've got to praise them for that. 100% agree with you, mate.
Yeah, I think as well, you said they don't have a manager across the city. They're trying to find Ian Beale. I don't know where they're going to find him. Like, that's a bit crazy. I think he's tied up with some carnival act he's doing or something. But it's really interesting to see what happens over there in the next couple of weeks. But you look at Welsh as well. So effectively, if we're keeping the ends, then that really does spell the end for Welsh. You look at Kobayashi, Jens, Starfelt, and Vickers. That's a solid team as your centre backs. That's strength and depth, international quality. Kobayashi looking obviously progress through the ranks in Japan and stuff, still being young. So I mean, Welsh kind of petered out for him. Let's be honest. And in the Sydney game, he didn't look great, but he got called out a few times over there. And then if this is the way it's going to end, I hope it doesn't kind of end for him, Willie, where it's like he peters off the face of the earth and never hear of him again. I hope he still goes on and has a good career for himself, whether it's in Scotland or do what a Jack Hendry done in Belgium and kind of rejuvenate himself. And you look at Mikey Johnson, by the way, in Portugal, who's scoring goals for the club he's at the moment. So there is plenty of opportunity for him to go and make a career for himself. But it does look like it's bye-bye Welsh, doesn't it?
I think so, mate. I like Welsh. I don't think he's ever done much wrong when he has come in. But I always go on about it. I'm going to go on about it again. The Lennons last season, I always talked about Sir Alex Ferguson was the best at it, spotting when a player was done. We need to have people competing, and at that season we didn't. We knew Edward was going to start. We knew Christie was going to start. Nobody was taking a position. Whereas I talk about now, we've got 2 or 3 in each position where they're all vying for it. If Kyogo and Giakoumakis, like they're fighting for that position. Abadas, Jotas, everybody. There's 2 or 3 in each position where if one comes out, another one comes in, you're not seeing too much of a drop off. Welsh isn't that player. He's a backup player. We talked about the 3. So CCV's obviously your starter. And Jens and Starfelt they're fighting out for that other position. No, that's true, mate. That's 100% true. But I mean, we're not going to fork out 9-10 million for a player nowadays. And I don't think Ange would do that anyway. I think he knows what he wants. And
but I think it's fair to say, too, what Frank said there, that like Postecoglou for me, I mean, over Lenny, it might be a bit disrespectful, but in my opinion, over Lenny and stuff, he probably has a better eye for a player at that type of price range. He knows the J League, he knows the Iranian League. We know effectively our whole scouting operation is over there at the moment, looking at different players, and he's going to get the final word. And I trust him signing a 900k player to turn him into a 10 million player.
And the last few years, the board have spent money. We spent 5 million on Ayeti, 5 million on Barkas, 7 million on Julian. How did they turn out? You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily spending big money gets you top players. I mean, we got, what was it? I seen it. I think it was on Twitter, and they're talking about that Yilmaz that Rangers have signed the left back. He's only played about 4 games. I think they signed him for about 4.5 million.
Yeah,
we got like Hatate, Kyogo, and O'Reilly for that.
Yeah,
that's fucking mental.
Yep, and the fees they'll bring back in.
Aye. So to go back, it looks like the end for Welsh. Sadly for him, like I say, is he going to? Was he a world beater and should be in the first 11 for me? No. Did he do much wrong whenever he came in and played for us? No, I don't think he did. No. And I do. If he does go, I wish him all the best. But I can't see him getting in the team now.
I mean, to be fair, like if you're having 4 centre backs like that, you're a 5th choice. If it was me personally, I'd want the way to play professional football and make the most of my football career.
But you know what? He's a Celtic boy, obviously.
Of course he is.
But he's lived his dream. He's played a big part for us in the last few years. He's won titles. I'm with you, mate. I've lived my dream and all the rest of it. If it was me now, I'd be looking to move on and actually trying to play some football.
100%. And the other one is a Canadian international right back, Alistair Johnson. Looked quite decent. I mean, what I've seen of him, obviously the clips, you do a bit of research into him. Plays for Montreal over in the MLS, I believe. He's made over 77 appearances, mostly which is quite interesting, at either wing back or right centre back. Never really as an out-and-out right back. From what I can tell, this season I think he has 4 assists and 1 goal, I believe, from the right back position. The game he played for Canada the other evening, he looked decent. He looked athletic. He looked quick. He looked like he could take a tackle. And one thing he did say, and he said today, by the way, he knows of Celtic's interest and he's really humbled that they're interested in him, which basically means that the transfer's almost complete. And we're just waiting on the whole process. And
Big Romano's tweeted it, so it's going to fucking
Big
happen,
Romano, it's there. It's Bible. But you look at it. The profile of him first, obviously, before we move on to the Ivanovic situation, he looks like he's coming in for first team football, will he? Like he's not going to be an understudy. And to be fair, he looks quite good, doesn't he? From what I can tell.
Yeah, like again, pretty much like that Japan game. I've only really seen what that game, and at that point, I don't think it was all over social media that we were interested in him. So I wasn't like looking out for it. But I do remember him having a decent game. But I remember him having a decent game actually coming back the way. I thought he was quite hardy in the challenge and like you said, looked quite athletic. So yeah, and like you've just been saying, and what the guys are all saying in the comments, if Ange fancies him, then I'm all for it because he's not been wrong yet.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, the Alistair Johnson one came from left field. You're looking at different right back options to come in for Ivanovic, but again, that points to the whole continental scouting department that Postecoglou's managed to put together in such a short period of time at Celtic. And you look at the guy who's probably going to fall by the wayside now. It looks like Ivanovic to me is probably on the first plane out in January when we get a bid for him. And I think anything above 13 will probably 13 million. I may add will probably be the signs to say a bid's been accepted. And it's a strange one. I don't know what it is. Well, he's not performed up to the expectations this season. Let's be honest. He's looked in certain games that his head is elsewhere. He came out in an interview recently and said against certain SPFL teams, he can relax on the ball. And again, I thought that was a bit disrespectful, kind of saying that against opposition teams, regardless of what they can offer you in a team sense. You don't say that sort of thing because that can come back to bite you in the arse. And then the Alistair Johnson kind of liking Romano tweeting it, coming from Canadian press, and that looks nailed on. Looks like euros away, doesn't it, Willie?
Aye, it does. I'm no, you know me, I'm no one for speculation. I hate it all, and I can't remember who it was that first put in the group chat that the rumours were he's rejecting a new deal and all the rest of it. And I was like, until I see Ange on the telly telling me he's away, I'm not believing he's away. But you can't deny with all the speculation that's going on now that it looks like that might be the case. But I mean, he's signed a 5-year deal, so if he is away, we're going to get some decent money for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing in the World Cup. I would be sad to see him go. I think
Yeah.
I think he's a good talent. I'm not saying he's a world beater. I never have. I think he's a good player. I think he's really good technically. I think he can. I've always said, I think he could play pretty much anywhere in the park. I think he could play midfield and all the rest of it because he's really, really good technically. I think he's great for that inverted wing back role that Ange wants. So I would be very sad to see him go. I would. But in saying that, I said this to you last night. Out of all our assets, all the players that have kind of been brought in and like the selling value and all of them, if I had to let one of them go, it would be him over Hatates and GGs and Kyogos and all the rest of them. He would be the one that if I had to. I think we actually had this conversation. Remember you said, we had a debate and you were like, we can sell these guys on for X amount of money, and you were like, who would you let go? I think I actually said that night, if I had to let anybody go, it would probably be Ivanovic. So I would be very sad to see him go, but if we get an able replacement, he has, mate. He's dropped recently, but he's not a bad player. So I'd be sad to see him go, but if we're going to let him go, it's going to be for decent money because, like I said, he's still on a 5-year deal. So if we got decent money from him and we had an able replacement, then I mean, I'm not going to cry about it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole fireball Ivanovic has been kind of, the flames have been put out now, haven't they? This looks like ever since the summer, it's never left him, the whole speculation. Obviously, back then, was it Fabrizio tweeted that he was nearly leaving as well, so there was concrete information coming to him that there was bids and stuff, and possibly just at that time they were rejected. I think the first sign of a money coming to us, he'll be gone, obviously, in terms of a fee above a certain amount, like 13 million. Yeah, it'll be sad. I think he's really good. I think he's technically gifted. I think, as you said, well, he could play centre midfield, no problem for me.
I think so.
And the way he comes in and links to play, and yeah, he just hasn't been himself this season. Maybe his head is elsewhere. I mean, what a turnaround for him, by the way. From Lega Warsaw, he stayed for them for a year, stayed for us with a year and a half, basically. And it looks like he's moving on to pastures new. It's quite incredible. Yeah. Like, it's the modern day football, isn't it?
Aye, and it's a shame because if it is true, I really thought that he bought into the Celtic family. I really thought that when you watch the social media, look at the social medias, they're always together, and he was always one that posted all the time with the Shamrocks and talking about Celtic after every game with pictures and all the rest of it. But he has been off it this season, and it makes sense, to be fair. If he's maybe there was that speculation Chelsea were in for him. Maybe they were in for him, and we rejected it, and he's just not been happy since. Yeah. We'll probably never know. But again, I'll not believe it until Ange tells me.
But one thing we do know, Willie, if Postecoglou has a hint that you don't want to be there, he'll make sure you're away. And it doesn't matter.
He had an interview a few weeks ago, and he said, "Listen, we're going to lose players, and it's down to us to have a plan ahead so that if we do lose somebody, we're going to have an able replacement coming in for him." So when I heard that interview and he said that, I think it was a month or two ago, and he's kind of talking about the model, and that's how he's always thinking 2 or 3 windows ahead, not just not thinking about January. He's thinking about the summer, next January, and then the next summer again, because he needs plans in place if these guys go. So he obviously knows, he's no stupid, and I think, like I said earlier, I'm all for the whole Sir Alex Ferguson. If any player thinks he's too big for the club or thinks he's outgrown it in any way or he's not performing, then see you later, mate. Because you're not any bigger than the club, you're not any bigger than that shirt, and you're not any bigger than that crest that's on the shirt. So if you don't fancy it, then see you later. Like it's the same with Big Edward and all the rest of it. He was gone. He gave us some great years. Wonderful player, great talent. Gave me some of my favourite memories as a Celtic fan. But that last season, he wasn't interested. So away you go. I think Angel know the Lennon anyway. Remember Lennon called everybody out after the Champions League game?
That ruined the season for me.
If he sees anybody's not interested, they will be gone.
Yeah. I mean, see, to be fair as well, you look at the whole Edward situation. He wanted to move for the money, and he's bench warming that at Crystal Palace. That's what money gets you in the Premier League. If you're not the quality they're looking for, they're not afraid to put you on the bench, and you're not going to be bigger than money down there. To me,
maybe he's not as good as we all thought he was.
Yeah,
because he's not
exactly.
He's not performing in it. Well, he's not. I don't think he's doing horrendously well, but he's not setting the world alight, is he? I mean, when he was at us,
No.
I think he's a top goal scorer for the France under 21s. Looked like
the
next big thing coming through France. He's not getting a sniff at that squad, and he's not going to. I don't think he's going to go any higher or any better than Crystal Palace. No, for what I've seen since he's moved down there anyway. So, you know what?
It's just interesting, isn't it?
To see that. And you know what? See if he did stay and put his whole heart into everything and stayed here for fucking 10, 15 years. I think he would have got more. You get more out of that than you would going down and playing.
Of course,
fucking fighting relegation or getting mid-table every year.
Of course, it would, mate. But again, the grass is always greener, isn't it? When you hear the money signs, you're trying to run after. One thing I'm excited for is this whole aggressive approach that Postecoglou was talking about in these windows. He's ready for replacements. He's ready if the first team players want to leave, and he has people who he believes will come in and make the same impact, and it's something I'm excited for. But in terms of that, Willie, our normal podcast, we were back there talking about the Celtic. It felt good.
Let me ask you one more question.
Go ahead.
With the windows coming up, where do you think we need to strengthen?
I
know you're going for a striker, eh?
A right winger and a striker, and possibly if you get rid of a Moy or a McCarthy, another centre midfield.
Fair play.
Yeah. What about you?
I think we look good and all that. I think we do need I would like a third striker, but I mean this third striker is going to play third fiddle because it's difficult between the two we've got now. Excuse me. But I think in all the attacking areas in midfield, I think we're looking pretty tasty.
I mean, did you see the speculation about that Egyptian Azif, centre attacking midfielder? There's rumours about him coming in on loan in January, so that could be an option.
I think we've got an absolute abundance of options with in the wings with Haksabanovic, Maeda, Abada, Jota, Forrest. Like they're all involved in. Like I keep calling it the rotation. They're all involved in the rotation, and they're all getting game time. We're scoring goals for fun. Aye, but I mean, this window's about building for starting next year as well, and hopefully Champions League. So maybe another striker is what he's wanting. I don't know. I think we can improve at the back.
Well, I mean, we're bringing the right back and the centre back.
But well, the right back's obviously going to slot in, but the centre back's not going to be. He's not going to be. Well, I don't think he'll be the one that's jumping right into the first 11, is he?
No,
he's another one that's kind of. If we were going to splash cash, I would splash cash in a proper centre half. I think.
So you would go for a fifth centre half?
Aye.
Oof, that's interesting. So effectively, you splash the cash for another first choice to go beside Carter Vickers, and then have the rest underneath.
Aye.
I think
we can do better. I think we can do better. I like Jens and I like Starfelt. I really do. And I love CCV, but I actually think we could probably do better than CCV at centre half. I think we could I think that's the one position for me. I think everywhere else I think midfield was strong. I don't think if we sign somebody and they were going to take, Calmac, O'Reilly, or Hatati's position, I wouldn't be happy because that midfield three for me is just magic. I don't think you're going to do much improving there. I think we're scoring goals for fun, absolutely fucking running riot. I know Champions League we needed to be more clinical, so but I just think the one position for me in the whole park, I think we could really, really, really improve on. And if you want to take the next, I think it could be a centre half for me.
So I would have to push back, and if you're wanting to take it to the next level, it has to be the striker because we were failing to score goals in European football. So effectively, to counter the whole defensive side of things, you're going to need a striker who actually puts the ball in the back of the net from 6 yards. Do you know what I mean? It's incredible.
I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, both of them have been clinical domestically. I just think you need a bit of luck. I just,
Mm,
aye.
yeah. It's interesting.
And to be fair to Big Giacomakis, he didn't get much of a chance in the Champions League this year. He was getting the last 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the game, and then when he did get his start, he did get a goal. So I think we might have been different if he did start. I think he is a proper clinical finisher. So, but I don't know.
I mean, with the whole Kobayashi thing, like he's coming in to be part of the team. He's not going to be in the reserves because Postecoglou already said he's experienced and he's had 4 senior seasons with Vissel Kobe, and he's coming in to challenge. Like, so he's not going to be sitting around scratching his arse. He'll be in that team, and if he's good enough, he'll play. I just think it's quite interesting. You overpack that area with we don't need a striker. We need a better strike. I think it's interesting.
It's not so much that. Aye, I know we're packed there, but I just think they're all pretty average. Whereas I think like Hatate and Kalmak and all that, they're like elite. Well, they're definitely elite for our league, but I think the likes of Hatate and O'Reilly could go on and be at like the proper elite teams. Hatate especially. I think going forward, Jota, likes of Jota, Abada, I think they could go on to be at one of the Europe's elite teams. I just don't think we've got any. I don't think we've got any centre half. I don't see CCV getting to a proper elite side. I think it's the one position on the park where we've not got somebody that's like that you can see going on to be top player.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Carter Vickers could have another level in him. Maybe not the top level, but maybe a mid-table, the Liga, Bundesliga, Premier League, probably quite easily for him. I know he did really well for Bournemouth. He was their player of the season when they got promoted, and then he came to us and stuff like that, and he's progressed even further. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a top quality centre half, trying to think, Ryan Porteous. No, we joking. But is it? It's interesting, Willie. To be fair, I never actually thought about that. I really didn't. It's interesting. Who would you go for? Have you anyone in mind?
No, I've not. I've no idea. But I just think.
I tell you one thing: if you look at Senegal, you look at Ghana, you look at even Canada, they're big centre back. Who was it? Oh, I can have him in the mind. He was just tall. He was built. He was strong. He was quick. He was athletic, and he covered the ground really well. He was centre half, and he looked quite good. And then, I mean, there's a couple of nations you could probably get a couple of players. Like I'm sure Postecoglou's looking.
I definitely have. It's been a bit of a scouting mission. Every game I'm watching, I'm looking out for guys and thinking, "Oh, could he do a job?" So I wouldn't be surprised if any of the scouts weren't watching anyway, because there's definitely World Cups are where these talents are kind of unknowns are on the world stage for you to see. So I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, I just think, especially in that position, I don't think we've had a proper top centre half in a long time. Van Dijk, obviously, but other than that, I can't. Nah.
No.
Nah, he was good.
Ayer beside Carter Vickers.
Nah.
Come on, Willie.
Take Van Dijk back.
Anyone would be 100%. Like, it looks like he's clapped in Liverpool.
They played a higher line than us.
Yeah. They were really high, weren't they?
They're playing a halfway line, man.
Did you see the managers? Did you see their managers halftime team talking to them?
No.
So they released it, obviously, and it was mental. By the way, he was like, he was shouting at them, right? He was like, "When you see Messi, you're dropping off 10 yards, get stuck in, and all this here, go at them and all." And they went out, won the game 2-1. Mental.
I know. What a result, by the way. That's fucking nuts. They were 33-1 just to win the game. I've never seen odds like that on a team just to win a game. And
they didn't just win it; they won it quite comfortably.
Yeah, I know. You fucking do 12-fold accumulators and can't even get a 33-1. It's one team to win. Nuts.
It's mental, like, to be fair. And again, Mark Newson, 100%. Self-belief, that's all about what Hans talks about. Believe in what we do. I think we can get results like that. And Saudi Arabia are the shining lights. And Iran, they beat Wales 2-0 today. Everyone was expecting Wales to pump them, which I thought was a bit disrespectful. Gareth Bale just to put on the armband and turn up and sit in the box for 90 minutes. Doesn't work like that, son. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I love football, mate. That's what it's
exactly, man. But have you enjoyed this one, buddy?
As always, mate. It's great. I've had a fucking long ass week. Busy the day and rushing around to come in and get sorted. But couple of beers and talk about Celtic's always the best medicine.
100%. And as you said at the start, there will be another spin-off show on Monday about the World Cup, Pacific memories, all that type of stuff. Quite fun. Anthony will be hosting that, and then Willie, you're doing the Ans v Brendan next Friday, aren't you?
Aye, it's quite similar to the Nopes 11, the worst team. We'll kind of look at Roger's team and Angie's team, a wee bit of a debate about how they would fare if they played each other, and a bit of talk about Ange and Rogers and their time, and then I think we'll try and come to a combined 11 between the two sides and see what we can do and see if we can spark that Twitter for another fortnight debate, fortnight's worth of debates again. Should be fun. Incredible. It's good as much as it's shit not having the Celtic. It's been good to have a wee bit of fun with all these spin-offs and that. So looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good crack. And as always, Beer 52 at the top here. Get involved. Beer 52 /Celts. Get your free case of beer. Cover the post leads. Subscription based after. You can cancel at any time. I'm sure if you see me on Friday, I was pumping them down like water. Like it was powerful. Like. So it was whenever got the box.
Super 6 in because Franny's still top.
Yes. Man. Everyone, Super 6. Get on to it. You know what I mean? There's that Emerald abroad there, even from Central Argentina. Wow. Great to have you with us today, buddy. Okay. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, as you said, yeah, it's crap not having any recent games to cover, any kind of recent news. I know we'll talk about transfers and that, but this gives us a chance to get a wee bit creative, get different things out, get people involved with our debates. And as you said, Twitter was mental. It still is mental, that whole Nopes 11.
Loads more coming up between now and the new year as well. And we've got the juices flowing and few ideas floating about for more spin-offs and quizzes and whatnot. So I'm really, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. The juices are flowing now, so a bit of fun with the boys, a few beers as usual. Buzzing.
It's fair to say, Willie, December looks like an exciting month at Endless Celts headquarters.
So, it does.
But until Monday, when we recap the World Cup and what's going on, favourite memories and stuff like that, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.